8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Say what needs to be said. It's your host, Mr. Pick Six, Big Deuce Deuce in the house, baby. Thursday night vibes. How y'all feeling out there tonight, man? Yeah, we about to turn up tonight. We about to have a good time, man. We feeling good. We looking good. We smelling good. And we about to show up good tonight, man. We about to have a good time, have that good energy. Y'all come on in. Let me know where y'all coming in from. You know, we got a lot to discuss and a lot to talk about today, man. Since a lot of things I talk about now, man, go viral, man. You know, we in the downtime of the NFL season, waiting on the NFL draft and things like that. Y'all make sure y'all tap in. Let me know where y'all coming in from. Make sure y'all can hear me good. Put the deuce deuce in the chats and let me know where y'all coming in from. And we got to send our prayers out to the people in Tallahassee, man, Florida State University, man. It's crazy times we living in, man. And, you know, we got to always protect ourselves, stay prayed up, and stay dangerous out here, man. And yeah, man, ain't too much we could do, man. Just live your life and live your life to the fullest and hope, man, hope you're protected at all times. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, so tonight, man, we're going to talk about Jalen Ramsey, the ex-Florida State Seminole, the Florida State Seminole alumni. We're going to talk about Jalen Ramsey. We're going to talk about Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders, and also Pat Schumer, his ex or his current offensive coordinator, man. So we got a few things to discuss, man. It's Thursday Night Vibes. It's Mr. Pick Six. I'm your host. We in the building tonight, and we got a few things to discuss, and we going to get into this tonight. Give me 1 second, man. Y'all tap in. Let me know where y'all coming in from, like I said. Let me adjust something real quick one time. Yes, sir. Jalen Ramsey. We're gonna talk about, like I say, Jalen Ramsey tonight. You know, I had a discussion on Twitter about Jalen Ramsey. We're gonna talk about Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders. We're gonna talk about the Daniel Jones comparison. And man, let's just get into it, man. Let's just get into it, man. Let's have some fun tonight, Thursday night vibe, man. Y'all give me that energy back. I'm gonna give y'all that energy. Y'all give me that energy back, man. What is going on with the Miami Dolphins, man? It's crashing right in front of our face, man. I want to be a Dolphin fan so bad. I want to be one so bad ever since Dan Marino was there. But I just can't be one because the quarterback situation never sits right with me. You know what I mean? Now, after the fire of Brian Flores, Miami Dolphins and this crazy general manager they got, Chris Greer, they went on a splurge, right, to ensure that this team will be a great team and this team will have great camaraderie amongst the players, hopefully to bring a championship to Miami. And we're still waiting on that, right? First, right, the first objective was they first had to get rid of Brian Flores so they can force Tua Tagovailoa on everyone, right? That was the reason they got rid of Brian Flores, because they wanted to go with Tua Tagovailoa. Brian Flores wasn't down with that. He wanted to go another direction, so they had to force Tua on us, right? So they forced Tua on us. Then the Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill so they could make Tua look good. They cashed him out real pleasantly. And the last piece of the puzzle was Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins traded the 3rd round pick for Jalen Ramsey and a tight end. That's all they needed. Super Bowl time. You know what I mean? Now, to sweeten the pie up a little bit, not only Ramsey, pretty much everybody. They made Ramsey the highest paid at his position at the time, and along with Tyreek Hill and everybody else. They were stroking that check over there in Miami Dolphins. You know what I mean? And all this was just to prove that Brian Flores wasn't the man for the job. And even Tua came out with some harsh words for Flores after his departure, after Brian Flores had got fired. So Tua had to come out and help validate his boss man's decisions, the people who make the decisions. He had to go out and validate it. And this is Tua right here. Listen to Tua. This is y'all quarterback, the Miami Dolphins quarterback. This is him being soft. This is his comments. This is his quote. This is what he had to say about Brian Flores. If you woke up every morning and I told you that you suck at what you did, that you don't be doing that you don't belong, doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right. And then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best. You are the best fit for this. You are accurate. You are the best at whatever. You are this, you are that. How would that make you feel? Listening to one another. You see what I'm saying? Woo, that was tough to read right there. But that's Tua. That's Tua's quote, right? That's Tua speaking on Brian Flores. Tua, that just sounds soft, right? It sounds like, Brian Flores is pushing you. He was trying to make you stand up to something you never was able to stand up to before, but you couldn't receive that message. You had to receive it in a negative light. You know what I mean? And yeah, you got to understand, Brian Flores, he's seen Tom Brady. He come from the Patriots, But this is what they had to do to get rid of Brian Flores and make him seem like the bad guy. This is how people collude and come together. Because they don't have the backbones to do what it takes. They got to collude and build up alliances and stuff and come together. You know what I mean? But in just 2 seasons after Flores was fired, the Dolphins are already starting to rebuild this dang team. And the leadership for this team is being led by 2 non-backbone having men. That's the leadership on the Miami Dolphins team. It's being led by 2 men that don't have a backbone in their body, the head coach and the general manager. And let's hear what the general manager, Chris Grier, had to say.
Confident that you have the leaders in place to...
Let me get this together.
I guess achieve the design. Are you confident that you have the leaders in place to, achieve the desired results in 2025?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We do, and some of the players we added are quality human beings and people that have been leaders at other teams. But I do think in-house, when you have guys like Zach Sealer, just to name a few, you can say Tyreek, Waddle, Alec Ingold, Austin Jackson, the offensive line guys love, those guys, they lead differently. They're quiet guys and how they do it by example and stuff. So we feel comfortable. They know the expectations, as we talked about at the post-draft press conference. Mike addressed that and what he told the team. And so Mike and leaders on the team have been meeting all throughout the offseason talking about things. So very excited for where it's going, and they know the expectations, and so looking forward to see how this group responds.
Are you confident?
That's who's leading the Miami Dolphins. It's the owner, it's the general manager. The owner just pays for everything. The general manager really runs this team. And if I was the owner, after hearing this clip, he would be immediately fired. He would be immediately fired. What was that? After I done spent all my money on 4 players, after 1 season, this is the direction we got to go? If I was the owner of the Miami Dolphins, after hearing Chris Grier get up there at this press conference and speak how he spoke, he would be immediately fired. I don't know what's going on. This is bananas as a Miami Dolphin, man, over here in Dolphin Town, And like I said, after 1 season, you put up all this hoorah, act like Brian Flores was the worst guy out. I mean, you building up alliances, you got players talking bad about him, and just for you to have to start over and basically start rebuilding to save your job, Chris Grier. You have to start rebuilding this team to save your job. And this is absolutely terrible. Chris Grier sounds like he's unsure of himself. He's hesitant about who the leaders is, and he doesn't have a clue who the leaders is because he doesn't know who's going to be on the team next year because there's a fire sale going on right now as a Dolphin. In Miami right now, there's a fire sale going on right now. And at his press conference, that's what he's doing. He's letting everybody know all around the National Football League. There's a fire sale going on at the Dolphins. You come make your pick and let's make a deal. And I'm sure we'll make a deal. You know what I mean? He had to let everybody know. You got to save yourself. That's what it's about in this life, man. If y'all don't understand, people are out here trying to save themselves, you know? And yeah, so everybody's up for trade, and you can't release anybody because everybody pretty much got guaranteed contracts. And, you know, I'd be on Twitter shooting my thing, doing my thing, shooting shit and things like that. And a few times things go catch and go viral. And here's one of these situations where, you know, a lot of blogs picked it up and talked about it and so on and so forth. But this is nothing new. This is nothing new with me talking about me and Jalen Ramsey, right? And I talked about it maybe a couple years ago about what I thought about Jalen Ramsey, right? And yeah, I think Jalen Ramsey will be productive as a safety. But we're going to get into it. Hold on. Let me show you this. So here's my tweet, right? I say he may not agree with me, but I bet he would be more productive at safety at this point in his career, right? And I say his numbers will be crazy. Thank me later, right? Like I said, this is nothing new, but, you know, I said it. I suggested that tweet, Jalen Ramsey would be more productive at safety, right? And I think pretty much the majority of everybody pretty much agree. Being in the skill set, his size and things like that, so on and so forth. But like I say, I've been saying this for the past 2-3 years. But actually, this move should probably have occurred 4 or 5 years ago. You know, 4 or 5 seasons ago, Ramsey should have been playing safety. Man, he would have been murdering the NFL. Right now, he's a great player because of his name and what you expect him to do, not because of the productivity. Nowadays, it's about your name. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking no shots at nobody. All you got to do is go look at the documents and the paperwork and the stats, and you will see. You know what I mean? And then you can make up your excuses like y'all always do. You know, in order to be great, you have to be productive. Ain't no way else to put it. You know, as a quarterback, as a receiver, cornerback is the only position where they can say you don't have to have stats and make you be good if you're a first rounder and things like that. You know what I mean? But you know, why would Jalen Ramsey be so great at free safety? You know, that's what they asked me on Twitter. They were curious to know why I suggest that Jalen Ramsey should be a safety, right? And at free safety doesn't require much technique as much as a cornerback does. Free safety, you have the ability to roam around and use your ability. And also, you get many, many more opportunities to make plays on the ball because you don't have to wait for the ball to be thrown your way. And in order to have consistent, high productive seasons in NFL at cornerback, you have to have technique to understand how to get the ball. You can't just be going out there and, as a cornerback, as a raw athlete, thinking you're going to intercept pass after pass after pass. No, you have to have the technique to go get the ball consistently over and over and over. You have to have an understanding of the game. Now, ain't nobody just going to be throwing you the ball out there. You know what I mean? And everyone that plays a long time gets the standard amount of opportunities to make interceptions, you know, whether that's 10, 15, or 20. But as a corner, like I said, having that technique separates yourself from those standard amount of opportunities that everybody get and, you know, 20 interceptions or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Everybody always wonders why, you know, it's not that many more interceptions. And I'm going to keep saying that because no one can master the skills and the technique to go out there and put themselves in position to go get the ball. You know what I mean? And let's check Ramsey out, right? Let's check Ramsey out. Ramsey moving to safety, right? Um, this is him right here as a cornerback all his seasons from Jacksonville to the LA Rams to Miami, right? And Ramsey's best season, Ramsey's best season, in my opinion, arguably would be his 2022 season where he registered right there. Y'all look at it, 4 interceptions and 18 passes defended, and he had 2 sacks. Right? How do you look at that? That's how you want to look at it. Whatever, a couple of those seasons he made All Pro, things like that. But just imagine him at safety, right? If he plays safety, remember, I'm saying this is his best season. 4 interceptions, 18 passes defended, 2 pass breakers. He probably had, a bunch of tackles and things like that. But if Jalen Ramsey was at safety, I guarantee you right now, I could see him having 8 interceptions along with 80 tackles, maybe 5 sacks, you know what I mean? And a lot of big hits and just big plays all over the field. He has the instincts and athletic ability to get that done. You know what I mean? He probably be a Ed Reed 2.0 that is very aggressive in the tackling game as well. You know what I mean? Cornerbacks will automatically be good at safety if they can tackle good or if they are good tacklers and not afraid to hit. That's just the genetics of the game. A cornerback will automatically be good at safety. But with Jalen Ramsey's size, athletic ability, he would be able to recognize concepts of routes, the concepts of routes off the rip, and he make a ton of plays, man, with his size and ability. He might not have the speed he used to have. I learned he used to run track, do the hot long jump and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's where you get his speed from. You know what I mean? What's happening, chat? How y'all feeling in there? Y'all talk to me. Y'all let me know what y'all want to talk about. But yeah, right now we're talking about Ramsey, man. And the reason why corners don't like to play safety, there's a few reasons. And the only thing that usually really matter to the corner about the transition from cornerback to safety is the physical nature of the position playing safety, right? Obviously, that's always something that we're worried about. And obviously, the amount of money safeties make. The market for safeties is totally different than the market for cornerbacks. Market for cornerbacks sky high. But Ramsey doesn't have to worry about the market and all these things because he's locked in already. He has a guaranteed $25 million salary for this season, you know what I mean? And if he moves to safety, what? That turns into 15, 12, to go find you a team to go get a Super Bowl. I'm sure he'll deal with that, This NFL, and you got to understand too, right now, Jalen Ramsey he's on the trade block. He doesn't have nothing to worry about because he has his money guaranteed, right? But just that feeling of understanding this team doesn't want you around or they don't want you on their team, that hits a little different, So you got to understand this NFL, man, this NFL world is a small world and players have to try not to burn bridges on their journey. And Jalen Ramsey was very critical of Vic Fangio defense after spending a season with Ramsey. After Vic spent the season with Ramsey in Miami, I think he was only there one season with Ramsey, and Ramsey was critical of Vic Fangio after the team released Xavier Howard about not using the players correctly. So you see what I'm saying? If y'all don't know who Vic Fangio is, that's the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Fly, Eagles, fly. He's a Super Bowl winner, baby. And then you got Jalen Ramsey trying to take up for him and his mans for, the lack of productivity, playing for the Dolphins. Meanwhile, he's over there winning Super Bowls with a new team in one season with the same defense that you was just playing. So that's why you got to understand not to burn these bridges in the NFL. I didn't know that because I guess I was one of those people that didn't understand that. And now's an opportunity for you to possibly go play for the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally think it would be a a good move just to go out there and try to win the Super Bowl. If Jalen Ramsey will submit to Vic and believe in his defense and things like that, I think is a good fit. You know, I've seen some trade suggestions that they was talking about things like that, but I don't know if that's possible. You know, with the cap number and things like. But I like the idea of Jalen Ramsey being the safety in Philadelphia. You know, or as a Raven. You know, but the Eagles could be a great landing spot for Ramsey, in my opinion. You know, at the end of the day, and like you say, like I'm telling you, he played for Vic already. He understands that defense. He played in that defense, and yeah, they can do some things. Will he make an impact as a safety over there? 100%, man. I see Ramsey doing his thing at safety. Are the Eagles and Howie going to go for it? Only time will tell, man. We'll see. Rick the vegan barber in the building. Jalen would be a good safety. Yes, sir. I think everybody think that. Everybody talk about how Jalen used to play safety in college and things like that. But he didn't play safety in the NFL yet. That's the difference. Everybody trying to act like, oh yeah, of course he'll play safety. Yeah, that's a no-brainer, blah, blah, blah. He still hasn't made the move yet. Y'all missing the whole point. He has to make the move in order for it to go, you know what I mean? For us to see what he can do. Right now, we're just talking about it and waiting to see how things going to pan out for him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's Jalen Ramsey, man. Great athlete, great player, man. Great player, great player. All right, moving on. Now we're going to get to a little Shedeur Sanders over here, right? We're going to get to Shedeur Sanders, one of the most talked about, or the most talked about prospect heading into the NFL draft. That last name, Sanders. Some good conversations and some not so good conversations about Shedeur Sanders and his abilities and what he can do and the things he did at Colorado. And where he lands in the draft, my guess is number 9 at the Saints, to the Saints. Or my second option is 21st to the Steelers. Or to the Steelers. Those are the 2 teams that I think that will grab him early. Any other teams out there? Nah, it's too much chatter, too much whispers. You don't really understand what's going on. But when you wiggle through all the messiness and the politics and things like that, I think it's going to come down to the Saints and the Steelers. But whatever's whispers about Shedeur being a top prospect, right? It doesn't really have any validation of what he really can do. It's just talking. That's just a part of marketing and in NFL and business and things like that. But when certain people who has been a part of Shedeur's life or coached him have something to say, it registers entirely differently, right? It registers entirely differently. And it hits differently, especially to the ones who are considering drafting Shedeur Sanders. And let's check it out. This is Shedeur Sanders, offensive coordinator, making comments right before the draft to the New York Times. And it's unbelievable. And he says, I think they're very similar prospects from a player and a person, Shermer told Paul Schwartz of the New York Post. I think they're both wonderful human beings. They're both highly accomplished, talented college players that have a chance to make an impact in the NFL. So there's a lot of similarities between Daniel Jones and Shedeur Sanders. Of course, Schumer invoked Jones' name as a compliment, citing their shared football character and what they've accomplished on their way to the NFL. Schumer coached Sanders to his best college season in 2024, so on and so forth. Did he just compare Shedeur Sanders to Daniel Jones? And that's his current offensive coordinator? What in the HELL is going on? That is bananas. I hope Coach Prime gonna have something to say about this. I know Coach Prime ain't tolerating that. Ain't no way in my mind that Pat Shermer could have thought he was giving Shedeur Sanders a compliment. There's no way in my mind, or how does anybody see that? There's no way he was giving Shedeur Sanders a compliment by comparing him to Daniel Jones. I don't know, chat. Y'all let me know if I'm missing something. Daniel Jones completely sucked. Right? I mean, he had one out of 4 or 5 seasons. He had about a good 6-week run where, he was on fire, making a couple plays. But when you're the franchise quarterback, we suspect you to make game-changing plays day in and day out. That's your job. But honestly, man, y'all want me to be honest with you? Y'all want me to be honest? I have to be honest with y'all, man. It's somebody's fault. And y'all not gonna like what I'm gonna say. Yes, this is somebody's fault. All this moving around and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. This is 100% Coach Prime fault. Yeah, I said it. This is 100% Coach Prime fault. Coach Prime had issues with Sean Lewis, who was the old offensive coordinator before Pat Shermer arrived and became the offensive coordinator. And let's just say he was just relieved of his duties before taking another job, Sean Lewis. And not because he wasn't delivering as a coach, as an offensive coordinator. He was doing a pretty good job. That's when Shedeur first came from Jackson State, boom, came right to Colorado, and that's when they set the nation on fire. Now, I'm sure Sean Lewis wouldn't have stabbed the Sanders family in the back how Pat Shermer did, indirectly, right? Pat Lewis wouldn't have done this. Sean Lewis wouldn't have done what Pat Shermer did. This is crazy. And this hits different from Pat Shermer. If y'all don't know, if you don't know who he is, Pat Shermer is a coach that used to coach in the NFL for quite a while. He coached quite some time in NFL. He has strong ties. He still has strong ties to the NFL. I'm sure he knows GMs and coaches, and I'm sure they talk frequently, right? And he probably talked to GM and coaches who are seeking evaluations on Shedeur Sanders, and he's giving them that evaluation, and he's probably giving them that comparison, face to face, man to man. Now, wow. Now, we all know Shedeur Sanders is Coach Prime, That's his pride. That's his pride and joy right there. And he's a quarterback. When you're a quarterback, you're everybody's pride and joy. But that's his baby boy. And I could only imagine Coach Prime is fuming somewhere. And he can't wait to get to Pat Shermer for those ridiculous comments he made about his son. You had anybody else, any other quarterback in the world, you got tons of other options. And you pick Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? But that's the crazy part about this, man. It's like, you got a big name. You got the Sanders name. You one of the most talked about people in the draft for whatever reason, maybe just because you got a big following and a big name. And, it's a little unfair, but it comes with the territory. That's why we want to make it to the NFL. And the crazy part about it, Shedeur did make a lot of improvement in Pat Shermer's offense. But for him to come out and make those statements, that says a lot, man. That's going to resonate with a lot of people, And that's blatant disrespect, man, to compare those two people, Because what is he saying? What is he exactly saying? Daniel Jones has been terrible in the NFL as a professional quarterback, right? He's been absolutely horrible. Maybe he was a solid prospect coming out of college, evaluating and the potential he maybe possibly possessed and showed, but it didn't pan out. It didn't come to fruition. So Don't use him as an example. Like, that is just crazy, man. That is crazy. But it's clear, man, Pat Shermer doesn't see Shedeur Sanders as a game changer at quarterback because there are so many other options and comparisons for him to have picked. And that's just the end. That's what basically he told everyone. You know, he's not that type of quarterback, in my opinion. I spent a lot of time with him. He was my quarterback. And that's how I view him. That's how I see him, you know. But not only is the comparison such an awful take, but the entire quote didn't sound like he cared about Shedeur Sanders' draft status at all. The entire quote didn't put Shedeur on a pedestal, you know, above all the other quarterbacks. You basically said, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is right here with all the other quarterbacks I see in college going to the NFL draft. And that is just bananas to me. Because I evaluated Shedeur Sanders. I watch every game Shedeur Sanders played. And I can promise you, no, he's not the tallest, no, he's not the strongest, no, he's not the fastest. But when you understand how to play and the game comes to you, yeah, he has flaws. Everybody has flaws. But that don't mean he is a Daniel Jones. Jesus Christ, that was horrible. Why did they let that guy do that, man? That was a bad take, man. Let me get to the chat, man. What's happening? Let me go to the first one at the bottom. Down at the bottom, we got Deron in the building. Let's bring him up. Tom Brady was a game changer. Wasn't a game changer. He was the perfect game manager and rarely made mistakes. Oh, man. Y'all got Cam Newton, got y'all out here talking about game manager and game changer, man. Tom Brady was definitely a game changer. Don't get that twisted. You don't have no proof, no facts. You're just going by what somebody else said. He has 10 Super Bowl rings. He did it with no athletes. I was there. He's a game changer. He's a game manager. He's a game winner, whatever you want to call him. He's all of those things. Tom Brady is in a category of himself. He's not one thing. He's everything that makes a quarterback. A manager, a scorer, a winner, everything. And that's the difference. You got to understand that. Don't just get caught up in what people saying, man, because people, can lead you wrong. This guy, Tom Brady, is a Super Bowl champion 7 times with not the best athletes on the team. You see when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you look at these teams are stacked. You look at these players like they have talent everywhere. When you go look at our teams, when we played for New England Patriots, Tom Brady didn't have that type of talent. On defense, we was a little stacked. Yeah. Defense, we play ball on defense. We had some gamers on defense. He didn't have much to run with on offense, and that ain't never no shots at nobody, but it wasn't the type of caliber talent that the other teams had, the wide receivers and the tight ends, and that was the difference. Y'all get that game manager stuff twisted a little bit. Let me start from the top. I don't want to get to the bottom. Yeah, respect. Let me get to another good one. Big fat. Yeah, let me put Bang in the building. Yeah, they big fast. I told you they could have drafted Jalen Hurts before they drafted Tua, ain't it? Talking about Tua, man. Anybody, man. The Miami Dolphins could have drafted anyone besides Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know what they say. When Tua was at University of Alabama, he didn't have to do anything but just throw the ball. Throw it up. Let his receivers be speed receivers and go get the ball. That's the only thing he showed, that I can throw an open pass to open receivers. With Waddle was just above everybody else in college. Nobody could cover him. You know what I mean? Jalen Waddle. And yeah, Dolphins had it goes way back to when they had an opportunity to get Drew Brees. And instead of getting Drew Brees, they got the UCF alma mater, my UCF alumni brother, Dante Culpepper. And that turned out horrible. Culpepper had just came off an injury, and they chose to go that way. And it's just like terrible decision after terrible decision. And it's like I want to be a Miami Dolphins fan, but they won't let me. Just let me be the coach then, man. Let me be the. I promise you, 5 years we'll have a Super Bowl. I'm bringing a Super Bowl back. You know what I mean? But let me get a few more questions, man. Yeah, man. Deep side in the building. Too real, I see you. What else we talking about, man? What else they talking about? What else hot on the press out there? Let me see what we got here. I hope you ain't saying nothing crazy. Asante, who was better to you, Dominique, Roger Cromartie, or Charles Tillman? Man, let me tell you, DRC, man, DRC was one of those rare talents. Man, he was a hell of an athlete. He's 100% more athletic and a more athletic cornerback than Charles Tillman. If you want to break down production and who made the most plays, that's different. But man, just to talk about DRC, man, he was one of those players that when I put my eyes on, I was like, man, I never seen someone like this athletic and has this much ability. He was fast, he had everything. But one thing he was missing, and he'll tell you, man, because I was trying to work with him and teach him the technique, was the technique. He was just straight raw talent. And when he make a play, oh man, it looks so beautiful, so awesome. DRC, man, shout out to DRC, man. That's my guy right there, man. Salute DRC. DRC was one of the ones, man. Me bring up the sports talk. Asante, what about the fact that can this kid really fail? This kid has a IT factor mentally. He has the it factor. Just difficult to see him being the real, but exactly. It's like, what are they looking at? And it's just, you want to criticize him because his name is big and it's something to talk about. Why and how can you possibly see Shedeur Sanders failing coming from Jackson State, everything that he did, come to Colorado, the middle of nowhere, it's cold, different environment, everybody's new, and he still comes and succeed. Like, that is the it factor. You can't coach that. Some people just understand what it takes and they just have it in their blood. You understand? You can't really coach that, and you can't teach anyone that. You have to go select the person that already have that in them. The Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes. You understand what I'm saying? He has that it factor. And yeah, man, I want to see him. I think Cam Ward do too. But I don't know, man. Going to the Saints at 9, that might be a tough situation. Well, but Shedeur Sanders, he's been in plenty of tough situations. But I would like to see him to go to Pittsburgh, and I'm sure Coach Prime would love to see him go to Pittsburgh, where Coach Prime probably have, some type of influence on Mike Tomlin. So that will probably work out great for them. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. What we got, chat? What we got, chat? What we got? Yeah, man. So what y'all think about Jalen Ramsey, man? Y'all think how no, let me rephrase this question. How long ago do you think Jalen Ramsey should have moved to safety? Right? You got a career high of 4 interceptions. Y'all, everybody's gonna say this and that about production, and stats don't always matter. Yes, they matter, because if he went to safety, I'm talking about 8 interceptions, 9 interceptions, big hits, forced fumbles, sacks, and just his ability just being able to be used all across the board. His ability, I seen the Dolphins, Vic Fangio, they try to use him as a star in the nickelback. Nickelback and star isn't quite, free as a free safety. So nickelback, you kind of restrained in what you can actually do, because you have so many responsibilities. So not just a nickelback. I need to see him back at that free safety. If anybody know Jalen out there, man, let him know, man. Ain't no hard feelings, man. I know he say it seems like I'm always talking about him. If y'all don't remember, since I did the I Am Athlete, that's when I first brought up Jalen Ramsey situation. I'm talking about greatness, and that went viral and things like that. But hey, we're a couple of days, we got 5-6 days away from the draft. Hey man, I'm trying to think of something, how I'm gonna put something together. We probably gonna do a 7-8 hour marathon, man. We're gonna talk about each draft pick. We're gonna we're gonna follow the draft and we're gonna have a good time. So y'all stay tuned. Let me see if we got one more in there. Career high 4 interceptions. That's it. It's because they didn't throw it side on the field. Now, I was waiting on somebody to say this. This is the perfect excuse y'all use for every cornerback. That's why I say at cornerback, production and productivity doesn't matter. At receiver, at quarterback, production matters. But at cornerback, this is the only position where y'all can make up an excuse and have excuses for everybody's favorite player or the big name players. They didn't throw us away or he shut this player down. Did the stats say he shut him down? The stats would say he shut him down. He had 10 targets. He completed 2 of them. And I'm just going to use Jalen Ramsey for this. Jalen Ramsey had 2 interceptions and 5 pass breakups. That's how you shut someone down. You getting your hands on the ball. When they talking about Reeves shut Randy Moss and all these people down, hey man, had 0 interceptions that season. Like, what could have just been some bad throws. Like, what are we talking about? Like, we got to stop that. They don't throw their way. Everybody gets the ball thrown their way. Now, the amount of throws is different, you know what I mean? But he's not no special cornerback where he gets a very small amount of balls thrown his way. No, you have to be intercepting the ball. You got to, like, that's what I'm saying. You can't just say they don't throw your way. You have to make them not throw your way. And 4 interceptions is not making them throw your way. They're still going to come throw your way. Unless it's 4 interceptions all in one game or a 2-game span. Nobody fears someone that's not intercepting the ball. That doesn't even make sense, right? Tell me, if you was a quarterback and you had one cornerback on this side, you was the quarterback, and you had a cornerback on this side and you had a cornerback on this side. This cornerback, he plays really good defense. He ain't going to never intercept the ball, though, but he going to play some good defense. This one over here, he play all right defense, but he going to intercept that ball. If you keep throwing, you throw it over there 3 times, you're going to intercept the ball. Which side are you going to throw the ball to? Come on, man. We got to wake up, man. Y'all got to stop trying to have your own opinion and have a voice because you don't want to use the stats. You don't want to use statistics. No, you have to use statistics. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm gonna redo another one, man. I did one where we talked about Antonio Brown and Julio Jones. Man, I didn't know my volume was all messed up. I ain't have my system on right, man. So I gotta redo that one, man. I'm gonna bring some more energy to that. We're gonna have a little fun with it because I see, man, Antonio Brown, man, might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He got 17 million followers on Instagram. That has something to do with it these days. And Julio only got like 1 million. I'm thinking the following is going to change people's perspective these days when it comes to Hall of Fame and these selections and stuff like that. Yeah, shit is getting a little crazy out there, man. Yeah, let me just say Asante. Shout out to JD Sports Talk. Asante, were you a trash talker on the field? Seems like we learning more about you now in retirement. Were you talking crazy on the field? Yeah, man, it's crazy. I swear, bro, like you said it, man. You said it perfect. You're learning more about me now. It's like I expected everybody to do the talking for me. I'm intercepting the ball 3 times. You know what I mean? Blah, blah. I can't watch the TV, so I don't really hear what they're saying about me. Now that I'm home and I'm researching, I'm starting to hear how they was going. Man, if I'd have known this stuff, and you got to remember, social media wasn't out back then, so you couldn't really see and hear much about me like that. But man, yeah, I'm always like this. I was always like that. But I was really raised by Tupac, right? Really raised by Tupac. All I want is money for. I'm a simple man. You know, all I want is money after fame. I'm a simple man. So I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want to be in the limelight all the time, or can't go outside and eat and people just coming up to me and bothering me in front of my family. So I steered away from the media, and I had a rule, a 10% rule, where I only talk to the media 10% of the time. But my teammates will tell you, any of my team, you go talk to anybody, play with me, anybody, that's where I talk on the field. And, I was one of those guys that I didn't play about practice. When you come to practice and you playing against Asante Samuel, you practice against Asante Samuel, I don't care how you feeling. You're going to have to pray today. You're going to have to come play today. I don't care if your leg hurt, you tired. I'm going to make you work. You know how I'm going to make you work? With this mouth. I'm going to talk about you like a dog. And it's just going to be competitive talk. I'm going to talk about how good I am and how sorry y'all are, and y'all can't do nothing with me. And I'm sitting out here all day, and y'all won't do nothing. How that is going to make y'all feel as an offensive coordinator, wide receiver, quarterback, whatever you is on offense. That's going to make you want to practice and work and do something to me. You know what I mean? And that's how I used to make practice. Every day I made practice, fun. I made it, with a lot of energy and things like that. We had a lot of energy. So, that was practice in a nutshell. The bullseye was on my back. And I accepted it, baby. I dared them to throw my way. They'll tell you. In practice, man, it was so funny. It's like, we playing the Giants on Sunday, but on Thursday, guess what? Instead of getting ready for the Giants, the offensive coordinator, Marty, I think his name was Marty, I forget his name, but offensive coordinator, he's not getting ready for the Giants on Thursday. He's getting ready for Asante Samuel. Thursday pass scale, one-on-ones, team, whatever we have. We're going to beat Asante Samuel. Forget the Giants, because if we could beat Asante, we could beat anybody. So we're going to draw all the routes and everything we need to beat Asante Samuel. And I promise you, man, practice was some of the funnest times. Man, you'll catch a few clips of me in the locker room starting some stuff between the media and things like that. But, man, practice, man, if they would ever had me mic'd up, if y'all could beg these teams to release clips and tell them the truth about me, man, and y'all be so intrigued, man. Y'all, man, it'd be crazy. But yeah, me. Hey, that's why I got my podcast, The Professional Shit Talker, my show, Say What Needs to Be Said, because I see I let people control the narrative for so long, and that's just crazy. These fools would never, my teammates tell you, these fools would never say nothing like this around me. None of that mess. I don't play none of that. You feel me? And my teammates gonna vouch for that because I ride with my teammates and we rolled together, baby. We stuck together. So that's what it is, man. Chat. Marty Morning Way, yeah. It's Marty. I just called him Marty. Let me get Duran T back in. Best wide receiver straight 6 years. Oh man, here we go. Last one for the night. Then we're going Thursday night pies, baby. We vibing out tonight. He say best receiver 6 years straight. AB is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Duran, I'm just gonna call you DT. Boy, I will debate you down because let me tell you, I know the fame and notoriety and the flashiness. It'll get to you. You get to you a little bit. But guess what? Guess who had 6 straight seasons with over 1,300 yards receiving? Come on, talk to me in the chat. Hurry up, DT. Who had 6 straight seasons with 1,300 yards receiving? The great freak of nature himself, Julio Jones. Yeah, type that in the chat. Julio Jones had that. And Antonio Brown is 26 all time, and Julio Jones is 16th all time. That's why I say you got to do your research. You got to do your homework, baby. You got to do your homework, baby. You know what I mean? So shout out to DT, man. I had fun with the chat tonight, man. Hey, man, I don't know if I'm going to hop on tomorrow, Saturday, or Monday, but I'm going to see y'all soon. Man, y'all going to hit Darius Stingley Jr. up, man. He supposed to come on. We supposed to chop it up and have a good time. Y'all let him know, man. Say what needs to be said. Big pick 6. Waiting on him, man, to have bring some of that good energy. Let him know, man, ain't nothing but love over here. So until next time, I see y'all. But y'all keep thinking about the draft. And y'all help me with some ideas, man. Y'all know my email, my DM. Y'all think of some ideas. We have fun. We're going to do this thing together. So y'all let me know. I want to do about 5 hours straight just vibing out with y'all boys and we having a good time. You know what I mean? So say what needs to be said. Like I said, it's your boy, Mr. Pick 66. Y'all know I'm all dressed up. I had a little date tonight. You know what I mean? I had a little, you know what I mean? So I'm going to see y'all. I'm out.